Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the chance to speak and for you holding this great hearing. As the House co-sponsor of the RAISE Act, I'd just like to say why I did it. I think it's very important that we focus on skills. I have thousands of employees. We need low-skilled and high-skilled workers in this country to drive it, because no country has ever improved itself and grown economically without higher productivity driven by more productive and young workers. So Tom's view of how many refugee or immigrant visas should be allowed would be debated, I would hope, by our colleagues and modified. But the principle of ending chain migration, I think, is critical to accomplish some of the things you all have talked about. Since the comment was also made about that people don't locate their business because of taxes, and I'd just like to say that if you believe that, then look at Texas, Florida, and Ireland, where I have businesses in all those places. Now, I'd like to ask a question about the pass-throughs, because I think the pass-throughs are critical. You know, when you have billion-dollar companies that are pass-throughs and are willing to pay the extra 5 or 6% asymmetry, they must have a lot of value to the economy as well as for startups. And so we know that small businesses are the job creators and that they use pass-throughs, but also larger companies use pass-throughs because of the simplicity of the capital structure. I know I do every time we do a real estate deal. So the comment was made about diversion of salary because of the 25% rate, Mr. Hodge. And don't you think that it's possible that the extra jobs that would be created by that extra 1/3 after-tax income by the 25% rate that would involve more salary workers rather than owners of business would offset any kind of lost tax revenue that an owner may take less salary?
Well, I think they're kind of different issues. I see your point, but I think you have to be extremely careful about creating arbitrage opportunities. And pass-throughs already have a benefit of one layer of tax. And albeit if you were to then reduce the rate even further, you do create arbitrage opportunities. And you have to be very mindful of that in writing the legislation so that
oh, sure. I understand.
You don't want the doctor to be able to reclassify his income as pass-through.
Well, and the IRS has some rules about that as well. But there's got to be a pretty strong impact of putting 1/3 more after-tax income in every pass-through entity's pocket in terms of what they do with that money and the jobs they might create with it.
Yes, there is, but I'll just leave it at that. It's going to be a thorny issue. I just warn you about that. And I'm all in favor of lower taxes on businesses because I do think that that spurs more capital investment and spurs growth. But I do think you have to worry about these opportunities in the tax code for people to play games. And you have to be extremely careful about it.
Oh, that's for sure. Let me ask you one more. This may be a little off the subject, harebrained idea. A Fortune 100 CEO friend of mine proposed it. What if the repeal of the death tax were limited to bequests which go to blood relatives? If they don't give it to a blood relative, why don't they just pay the tax? So we all share in it.
Well, do you really want the government to dictate where people give their money? Well,
they do it now. A million ways.
That's the point. That's why we want to get rid of the estate tax and get the government out of the death industry. I love the sentiment, and I do think too many families have been disproportionately harmed because of the estate tax and family businesses.
That's the point, yeah.
But at the same time, I think, again, want to be careful about this body making determinations on where people believe that they should put their money. And, you know, if a guy's got a kid who's, basically a ne'er-do-well.
This is the body that created renewable fuel standards.
What?
This is the body that created the renewable fuel standards. Talk about where to incentivize your money.
That's right. I rest my case.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You bet.